For those of you that have been waiting and hoping for Axial to come out with an SCX10 ready to run, you guys are in luck. They did it, it's here, and it looks really awesome. Let's sit down at the bench and take a closer look at this new rig. This is it. This is how you get it right out of the box. You don't have to do a single thing to prep this truck to drive other than put the batteries in and just go out and have some fun with it. Axial did an amazing job on this ready to run, and like I said before, this thing is really well worth the wait in my opinion. I've been going over it, and it's really the same exact thing as the kit, just now with the painted body, everything's all assembled, and of course with their electronics in there, the Spectrum electronics. But let's start going over some of the details. Like I said, it's pretty much like the kit, so if you haven't seen my kit review yet, I will put a link up above so you can check that out after this review. That one's going to be super detailed. This one, I'm just going to go over the details that are really about the ready to run, and I'm going to start off with the body here. And obviously it's all assembled and painted, and it comes in two different colors. So it comes in this gunship gray, I guess. You know, you Jeep guys out there that may know the paint codes and actual paint designations, you could go and correct me in the comment section below. But I'm going to go with a gunship gray on this, and then they have the bright red version, and I love this particular color. There is my burnt orange JLU up there that I painted for the kit review, and if I had to choose a second color, it actually would have been this one. You know, I love this style. But all the decals come on there. Even the interior is painted on the inside. The guy's face is painted in a flesh tone, and you know, it's got the roll cage in there. Even the decals are on the dashboard. We've got all the detail accessories on the outside, including the cutout grille, the fender wells, windshield wipers, door handles, even tail lights. So it's just decked out from the start. And what's even better is they included LED lights with this kit, and they are installed already. They're even plugged in when you get this thing out of the box. The plugs are already installed. You're gonna have to pull the plugs apart when you're taking the body off to get the battery in there, but I mean, it's really that ready to go. It looks so cool. All right, beyond the body, let's see what else we have on the outside. We do have the Nitto Trail Grappler tires on there, just like we saw on the kit version with the KMC B-Lock wheels, and they look awesome. They are kind of big. Some people I saw really like the way that they handle, and some drivers, of course, swap them out. But I think, you know, if you're going out just for some general fun, just want to drive the truck as is, these things, they work pretty well. All right, let me take the body off so we can look at some more details on the inside. The body clips are located on the bottom of the vehicle, just like we saw on the kit. So that is very cool. No body posts on the top. All right, there we go. And we've got the CRC bumpers front and rear as well on this. And now with the body off, you can see, I mean, again, it's just like the kit when, you know, except you don't have to assemble it. And for those of you that don't know about the kit, there were little hiccups in the manual that made it hard for some people to build, especially if you've never built a kit before. So if you've been holding out because you need it ready to run because it's hard for you to build, this is definitely a great truck to go with. All right, so you can see here, it's got the inner fender wells. We've got that adjustable steel frame chassis in here, and then down to the drivetrain, the transmission in this. Really cool transmission. It's got a 2-speed in there and a dig option. I'm going to go over that a little bit more, but I just want to go over some of the features we know about already on this so we can get into what makes this ready to run different from the kit. We got the portal axles, front and rear universals, really nice heavy duty links throughout. We got the aluminum shocks on here, and again, just check out my review of the kit. I keep referring to that because it is loaded up with details. All right, let's get into those differences. Now, I was talking about the transmission before. The transmission is actually set up so you could use the dig right out of the box. So the radio system it comes with is a 3-channel radio system, and they have a dig servo set up ready to go. So right out of the box, you could go and use the dig function. What that allows you to do is lock up the rear wheels and use the front to kind of guide the truck around if you need to get over obstacles or whatever. But what you could do with this is if you don't want to use the dig, you can go ahead and move the servo into the 2-speed position and use it to shift your 2-speed, and you can lock out the dig, which that is pretty cool. Right out of the box, a 3-channel setup ready to go. You have that option. If you do want to go and add another servo in here later on down the road so you could operate the 2-speed and the dig function, you know, with one radio system, you're not going to be able to do it with this radio. You're going to have to upgrade your Spectrum radio, but that is an option. And to be honest with you, I didn't like using both of them. I thought I was just going to go ahead and actually set up my kit version just with the 2-speed and just not use the dig. That's not my thing for, you know, scale crawling type of stuff. But, you know, everybody's got their own way that they like to drive. So, you know, the options are there with this. All right, so beyond the dig servo option that comes in here, they do have a new Spectrum Smart System, which is a speed controller receiver combo. And at first I wasn't too sure about that because, you know, if you do want to go and upgrade your speed controller later on down the road, you don't have a receiver there. So if you don't have the receiver, you got to go and buy that separate. So that is a little bit of a downside if you're planning on upgrading the electronics later. But they do have a really good speed controller set up in here from the start. So if you're going to just keep this thing as is for the life of the vehicle, this is, I think, is going to be a pretty good unit. So it's a 40 amp brush motor speed controller. It does have channel outputs on there, steering servo and the dig servo. And then a spare auxiliary as well. It also has the pigtails for those LED lights I was telling you about. There's a 3 amp 6 volt BEC. It is waterproof. It does have the bind button on the outside to make binding a lot easier. Short little stubby antennae. And the speed controller is fitted with the IC3 connector. So what's really cool about this is if you use a smart battery, you could get some of those telemetry functions to transmit right over to the radio system, such as the battery voltage. So when your battery is running low in your truck, you'll be able to see that here on the radio. It's got some little LED lights that light up. So it's a pretty neat speed controller receiver combo. I'm really interested in trying it out, and you know, hopefully it works out really well. That of course powers the 35 turn brush motor. Didn't see anything about how many slots are in the motor. A lot of companies are going with 5-slot motors now, but I didn't see any note about that. So I think it's just your standard 35-turn motor. And then in the steering department, there's the SCX10 servo, high torque servo, metal gears, and it does have a metal steering horn on there, so you don't have to upgrade from plastic later on down the road. And that's really about it. You could go and use a shorty pack if you want to over here. You could even use a shorty pack in the back. The battery slot is adjustable, or you could use a long pack. Just a simple Velcro strap holds it down, and really, really nice setup. Really well built. All right, let me set this aside and let's talk about the radio real quick. So this is the new DX3 radio system. I just reviewed this a little while back, and I do like it as a standalone unit, and it's really cool to see it come in here. Like I said, you can go ahead and access the smart functions through this, and right off the bat, if you use a smart battery, you'll be able to see right here on the display your voltage. If it's getting low, an alarm even goes off, and you'll be able to access some of the other telemetry features, and you could even upgrade later on down the road with a Bluetooth module, or if you want to switch out to another Spectrum radio, you could of course do that. But what is very, very cool, and you know, Axial Spectrum, you get a big thumbs up from me on this one, is the thumb control right here. So it's got the lever, and you're able to control this radio system with one hand. And when you buy this radio by itself, or when it comes in other cars, it doesn't have this lever here. So this is for the axial crawling vehicles that's going to come in. That is pretty awesome. I love that they give you that. They do go ahead and give you the AA batteries to power that as well. So, you know, props to that. That's just very cool to see from the start. And then let me just show you really quickly some of the other stuff that is in the box. Not much is in the box. I mean, it's just ready to go, but there are a couple additional details I want to show you here. And we've got an extra mount for the panhard bar. You know, up front is a 3-link with a panhard bar. Out back is a 4-link setup. They do give you the bar in here. And I don't think they changed this up much from what I could tell, and I know some people are breaking these, but at least they give you an extra. Might want to be on your upgrade list for sooner rather than later. Also in the kit is the receiver box with the rubber gasket, so you go ahead and seal that off, make that a waterproof box. And they give you this little bag of stuff. Got a box wrench in there. We've got an extra arm for the dig servo, or the 2-speed servo in this case, and some extra hardware in there. Here is the baseball cap that you can put on the driver figure. He's got his cowboy hat on there right now. A couple of extra decals to throw on there, and of course a full manual to go ahead and get you up to speed on how to run this vehicle, how to take it apart, how to maintain it and everything. Really good thing to read through. All right, guys, that really just sums up what the difference is between the ready to run and the kit version. And all we have to do now is go out and have some fun with it. And of course, I'll meet you back here at the workshop to tell you about the performance. Now's the time where we talk performance. I took the Axial SCX10 ready to run over to one of my favorite locations. It's called Bulls Bridge. It's in Kent, Connecticut, and it's along the Housatonic River, and it is an awesome spot to test RC crawlers. Just really cool background stuff, and the rocks are really awesome to climb up and navigate around. And this was just a great truck to drive over there. I mean, we've already tested the SCX10 kit. This is the same exact thing, and I had a great time with that, and it's pretty much the same thing here. I mean, there are some things we got to talk about as far as the electronics goes, but as far as the vehicle itself, it's got a great amount of steering to it, 45-degree angles on both sides. Actually, a little bit less when I was turning left. It was just a slight amount less, and that's because the servo horn hits the panhard bar mount. But nonetheless, it had some really good steering throw to it, and the torque from the servo was definitely respectable as far as a ready-to-run crawler is concerned. I mean, you know, could it be better? Absolutely, it could be better. But in terms of a ready-to-run, it is pretty good right out of the box. Definitely for those of you that are just going to be knocking around the backyard and stuff, crawling over, just, you know, easy obstacles and stuff, it is just fine for that. Now, as far as the handling goes, I mean, you know, the portal axles in combination, you know, with the suspension travel on here, the suspension geometry, it does really, really well. And kind of one of the things, you know, you got to factor in is the weight. And when I started off, I actually had a couple of different packs with me there at the test site. And I actually started off with a full-size 3S LiPo battery. Yes, it will fit one in there. And, you know, obviously with this big battery in there, the CG is a little bit high, and you know, caused it to roll when I was getting on those side hills. And so, you know, I went back to my backpack, grabbed my 2S battery. A lot better with a lighter weight battery in here. It is 2S as far as wheel speed goes. You know, it's got good wheel speed to it, but the point I'm getting at here is I really liked the truck on a small shorty pack. I ran this on the floor pan, and that's when I really enjoyed driving this thing. Just a 2S pack, a lightweight pack, and I felt the truck was a lot more nimble, and I could push it a bit farther on the side hills. But as far as climbing things go, I mean, this thing just pulls itself up and over. It doesn't have overdrive in the front, but it still does really well. Wheel speed is pretty good, and I'm going to get to the motor and the speed controller setup, but the wheel speed is really good on a 3S pack, so if you get a shorty 3S pack, it's probably going to be pretty awesome. I didn't have one to test, but on the 2S pack, I did, you know, get up a lot of inclines that, you know, required wheel speed to get up and over some obstacles, and I was pretty impressed with what it did. So definitely like the way this truck works overall. So one of the things here is the new speed controller receiver combo. So what I did to test that out, because, you know, it's a pretty interesting setup, you know, for this vehicle, is I brought it over to an incline, a rock incline, and first up I just let it descend down the hill to see what the drag brake was like. And you know, I'm going to overlay a video clip here, but I just, you know, let the truck roll down on its own, and it had a nice smooth drag brake, you know, feel to it. So I definitely like that. You know, if you go and touch the throttle, it is a little bit jerky, you know, in that transition. But overall, I did like the drag brake on there. Now, you know, going up hills, I was just testing things out, and I went and put it on the incline, and it just turned up the throttle trim a little bit to see if it would just carry a nice smooth speed to it. You know, no input from the trigger, and it crawled up the rock nice and smoothly, nice and slow. It was very scale-like. So this speed controller is a very good speed controller for a ready-to-run setup. I like what they've done here. You know, you could go and actually put another servo in there later on down the road if you want to do that full dig and 2-speed setup. So it's a pretty versatile speed controller. You will need a different radio for that, but you know what I'm getting at here is it's a pretty versatile speed controller. It's pretty well set up right out of the box, and there are actually 14 programmable functions to it. You could go and adjust the drag brake on there if you want to. You could adjust the startup force and the initial drag brake. So it is a programmable speed controller. You're just going to need a program card to do that, and you know, it doesn't come in the kit. You will need to purchase that as an option. I mean, for a ready-to-run setup, this is pretty dialed, and I think, you know, you could get a lot of use out of it before you graduate into, you know, wanting more out of this rig. The only thing I would suggest, you know, watching out for, and this is just based on what I'm seeing with the SCX10 kit, is you know, definitely look at an aftermarket panhard bar mount for it. And if you want some extra grip, you know, maybe check out some alternate tires for it. These tires did pretty well, especially on on that rock surface where I was at. There was some spin, but, you know, I was on a pretty massive incline when I was doing it. So, you know, maybe a different tire with a little bit more weight in the front. I mean, a lot of people love adding weight to the front. It definitely helps, you know, with the handling of the vehicle. Now, I did encounter one durability issue, and that involves the servo. So after I was done testing for the day, pretty much done testing for the day, I decided to go and run this thing through the water and submerge it. And that's not something I recommend you do with any RC vehicle. But, you know, I get to test this stuff, and I wanted to see just how far I could push it. Wanted to see if the speed controller receiver combo was definitely waterproof. And so I started running it under the water. And when it goes under the water, the signal does start to cut out from the radio because 2.4 gigahertz doesn't work well underwater. It actually go and lock the dig up. So it was just kind of dragging the wheels for a little while. But after submerging the truck for about 6 times, the steering servos stopped working. So I think I pretty much burnt it up because it smells pretty funky, and when I opened it up, just a ton of water dumped out of there. And looking at it, it is coated on the inside, so maybe this one is just missing a spot of coating, and it would be waterproof. But, you know, I just want to share with you guys what happened. And, you know, I did blow out a servo, you know, getting it too wet. So definitely steer away from submerging your truck. And I think a light splash here and there would be fine for it. But everything else worked just fine. Now, of course, I tried out the dig function. I'm not a huge fan of digs, but I did go and try it out and actually had a good time using it to my advantage when, you know, having to reposition the truck. It actually works really well when engaging and disengaging from it. It wasn't hanging up. So that was definitely a bonus there, and maybe it's something I could get used to. The other thing I did want to note is I didn't really hear that clicking noise that a lot of people got in their kit versions. Maybe Axial made a revision, or it was the way it was built, but you know, there's a little bit of drivetrain noise, but not a super loud clicking, maybe just a light you know, click to it, but it definitely seemed to be a lot quieter than the kit version. And so overall, Axial did an awesome job on this. Awesome looking body. We've got an engine cover under the hood. We've got these awesome KMC wheels on there, and just a layout that is, you know, it's something that you could grow into. It's really just a great platform that is going to last a really long time. I mean, look at the other Axial vehicles that are out there. There's people still running SCX10s, SCX10-2s, and a lot of people are just going to glom onto this SCX10-3 and have an absolute blast with it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions or comments, throw it in the section below. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, the notifications bell, throw the video a like, and we'll see you back soon for some more RC driver reviews.